fire into the sky, or the great Leviathan of the ocean depths. These mythical creatures have been at the forefront of our imagination for millennia. Some of them, however, may be far closer to reality than we ever expected. Let's take a look at mythical creatures that actually existed. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to The Supreme, and click the notification bell for more lit content. Let's get rolling. Number 9. The Questing Beast. The Arthurian legends of King Arthur and his court in Camelot have produced more than their fair share of mythical beasts and villainous creatures throughout the ages. Despite that, this creature, the Questing Beast, is perhaps the strangest to ever have featured the Arthurian lore. And even more bizarrely, it may also be the closest to the truth. Sorry, dragons. The Questing Beast was said to be a vile creature, capable of immensely powerful old magic. It had the hind quarters of a lion, the head of a serpent, the spotted body of a leopard, and the cloven feet of a hart or a stag. In Arthurian legend, the beast was portrayed as an incredibly elusive creature that had evaded countless hunting parties across ancient Britain. Before we move on to our number 9 point, we should probably draw your attention to the strange and mysterious creature that we found in our recent travels across the internet. Take a look at this image that our team found. The upper torso of a serene and beautiful woman and the lower body of a scaled, tailed, and finned fish. Of course, as many of you will know, a mermaid of myth and legend, a creature that has appeared in many mythologies and cultures across our planet, and one that evokes the image of an unexplainable and unknowable mystery. Expecting a beautiful and mythical mermaid, you could say that he was a little shocked by the image of the manatee. They're beautiful in their own way. Number 8. Hast's Eagle. And you may be a little shocked to know that these creatures were so ferocious that before they sadly disappeared from our planet, they had already carved their own place in myth and legend. One of the most important monsters in the Maori legends of the islands of New Zealand, Hast's Eagle was known as Paukai, one of the mightiest monsters ever detailed in their heroic tales. Even more incredibly though, Hast's Eagle was very much a real creature. In fact, it was the biggest, baddest, and most magnificent eagle to ever have existed. With a staggering wingspan of anywhere between 2 to 3 meters, Hast's Eagle had claws that measured over 9 centimeters long. That's as large as a Bengal tiger's. In the early days of pre-Polynesian New Zealand, around 800 years ago, early settlers were subject to the dangers of this terrifying lord of the skies for generations. Swooping from their mountain lairs, it is thought that this giant avian predator would have feasted on small Maori children, and in rare cases, the Hast's Eagle would have ever taken on a fully grown adult to fill their bellies. Hast's Eagle is one of the deadliest winged creatures to have ever existed, and has certainly earned their place in the ranks of mythology. Number 7. Narwhals. If you took one look at this strange and bizarre ocean creature, you might be forgiven in thinking they were something straight out of ancient mythology. In fact, for hundreds of years, the horned narwhal were considered to be a myth, despite several sightings throughout the early age of exploration. They were so bizarre that no one believed they could have possibly existed. And much like their horned counterpart, the fabled unicorn, the humbled narwhal was chalked up as a mythological impossibility. However, although this creature is very much a real thing, the indigenous Inuit people of the Arctic had lived amongst the narwhal for thousands of years, and even they had considered the strange horned whale to be a part of their foundational cultural beliefs. Number 6. Direwolves. Although a ferocious fantasy in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, the source of Game of Thrones' budgetary woes in the first few seasons of the show, the direwolf, what are sometimes known as the Wardens of the North, is actually a very stark species known as Canis dirus, lived during the Pleistocene era, roughly around 250,000 years ago, and would have certainly been one of the top predators of the prehistoric world. While the direwolves of Game of Thrones were slightly larger than their factual brethren, the direwolves of ancient history were around 5 feet long and could weigh over 200 pounds.
Number 5.
Hobbits. On the topic of high fantasy, there is perhaps no other species quite as iconic as the fictional hobbits that were made famous by J.R.R. Tolkien's legendary works of literature. A species of small and peaceful humanoids that live in impeccably comfortable homes, built specifically to be the perfect sanctuary against the many evils of the world. However, after recent archaeological discoveries, Tolkien's utopian society may have actually been rooted in a much more remarkable reality. 60,000 years ago, a species of humanoids lived and possibly thrived on the Indonesian islands of Flores. Known scientifically as Homo florensiens and more eloquently dubbed as the Hobbit people, these humanoids stood at less than 4 feet tall, and evidence exists of them cultivating stone tools, butchering meat, and even possibly crossing miles of Pacific Ocean in order to colonize their tropical island home.
Number 4.
The Rock, also known as the Rook in several texts, was a giant winged predator that was said to have been so large and powerful that its diet allegedly consisted of feasting on baby elephants. Strangely enough, the legend of the Rock has featured in many cultures across the planet, although most prolifically in the mythology of the Middle East. It was described as being strikingly similar to an eagle, except far larger and much more powerful. Some texts, written as early as 39 AD, were recorded to have a wingspan as large as 48 feet.
Number 3.
Werewolves. While the shape-shifting lycanthropy of horror legends is certainly a physical impossibility, the folklore roots behind this terrifying beast are a different kind of frightful reality. In fact, in many ancient cultures of European society, becoming the werewolf of legend was an incredibly important rite of passage for specifically selected young warriors. It is unclear just exactly when and where the werewolf of legend first originated, although some scholars believe that the first transformation occurred during the epic Gilgamesh, widely considered to be the oldest recorded piece of literature in human history.
Number 2.
The Wendigo. Similar to the werewolf, the terrifying tale of the Wendigo of North America mythology has emerged time and time again in both ancient and modern history. Stories of the ravenous and ever-hungry Wendigo creature have featured as timeless cautionary tales to many First Nations and indigenous people of North America, serving as a mortal reminder of the dangers of cannibalism in the deadly throes of winter. Although the cultural significance of the Wendigo cannot be understated, the realities behind this mythical creature may actually have been far more morbid than their historical origins.
Number 1.
Giants. And finally, although the small hobbits of ancient history have already found their place on this list, evidence of giant humanoids on this planet have raised a far more intriguing set of questions. Have you ever looked at an ancient map and read the words, "Here be giants"? Why has our civilization been so astonished by the idea of a much larger species than our own populating this earth? Throughout nearly every cultural mythology in human history, giants have found their place. David and Goliath, the Nephilim of ancient Sumeria, the Jotun of Norse mythology, perhaps even Bigfoot and the Yeti. However, following recent breakthroughs in archaeology of the past few decades, evidence of a giant race of humanoids has since emerged. And there we have today's video. Let us know your thoughts on these incredible mythical creatures that once walked our planet. Which of them is the most incredible? Or are there any other mythical creatures we should know about? Let us know below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our latest content. You've been watching The Supreme. See you next time.